All right. I don't have any jokes, so sorry in advance. My name is Warren Ware. I am a validation engineer at Colgate-Palmolive, located in Cambridge, Ohio, at our home care facility. And this is my presentation. That's a really long and drawn-out title to make the corporate communications happy. All right, so I started with Colgate in 2015 at the Morristown oral care facility and analytical lab. Worked there for about 8 years. I worked my way up through working with our analytical validations, working really closely with all of our instrument vendors, became the instrumentation SME, and that got me my promotion to the validation engineer position in Cambridge. And my first responsibility was implement Kneat at Cambridge. And we were growing the number of our Kneat facilities. And since Morristown was the pilot facility for Kneat, and since I was such a good instrument SME, I was great for the job. So I got to Cambridge and spearheaded the Kneat implementation while trying to grow our validation program. What I'm up here for is the Calibration Master Database Project. And just a small brief background. I went to this conference last year in Boston. And right before I left, we had a problem with our calibrations department, and we had to evolve from our paper-based and Google Sheet-based calibration database for the whole system. Our facility does all of our inline calibrations, like flow meters, inline pH meters, things like that. We do all of our calibration and verification in-house. And for years, we've just kept the schedule and all of the data in a Google Sheet. And so we needed to evolve to a more compliant, more secure, traceable, and something with an audit trail, something that we could easily produce for the auditors instead of, well, here's our Google Sheet. You're welcome to peruse it as much as you want. So I was at Kneat in Boston, and I heard the program about the e-log books, which was just getting started. It was just a new idea. And I thought, well, that technology, that functionality is already there in Kneat, and that functionality I can really make and use for this calibration master database project with the entities, with the entity functionality, and then just that e-log book, that simple idea of making a protocol, just a very basic, what instrument are you doing? What work did you do? Send it off for approvals, and if you needed higher quality approval, you have the second level. Very easy. So I started with, okay, we need to create an entity mask, a specific site entity mask that we could use for our site, for our particular instruments, but something that could be manipulated for our other sites, because I want to be able to have this to be able to use for all of our calibrations departments anywhere if they need it. And so we included all of the possible fields that were available in that Google Sheet for all the different equipment, all the different calibrated equipment, everything that we had. I had to include an attribute for anything that was possible. And then, if one didn't apply, we would select NA for it and move on. Then I thought, oh man, here's going to be a problem. I didn't think about this, but we've got about 650 instruments that we're going to have to create 650 entities. It's like, how in the world is anybody going to have time to do that? So, we got with Joe, our Kneat IT guy. It's great. He gave me kind of an Excel template. He said, make your data fit this with your exact attribute data and send it to me. Send it to him. I thought this is going to take a day. It took about a minute and a half. And we had 650 entities populated in our workspace. So all of that time, all that work that we were worried about was no problem, just like that. Next, I worked with my global Kneat IT team, and I worked directly with our calibrations team, and we created our document templates. So the exact document templates, if you'll see up there, the analytical indicating transmitter, flow indicating transmitter, and weight indicating transmitter. And so for each of these, I took the quality side of it, I created our purpose and R&R and all the documents and SOPs that were related. And I got with them and I said, here, if you could build your ideal calibration verification sheet, what would you do? And they told me what they needed to do, and I made the document templates, each one. Very simple, very easy, something that made it as efficient as possible for them to do more work in the same amount of time. So we're moving from the paper certificates that you used to print out from the Google documents and sign and file away. And we went to the e-certificates. Everything is signed, easily routed, and available for auditors, or if anybody needs, it's so much easier than digging through files and paperwork and trying to find, the calibration from, 2023 for such and such instrument. It's so much time savings. It's the amount of work it saved me and them is great. We took this is just a couple examples of what we were, like the legacy. They would print that out on the top and sign it. At the bottom, that's the enter all the data and send it off for electronic approvals. What made it really great was the entity table. And this is where we had to involve all attributes, even if we had to put NA. If you make an entity table on every protocol, all you have to do is select the instrument that you want, and you've automatically populated all that information in 1 second. So all they have to do is the list of instruments that we're doing, click the instrument, and boom, got it, on to the work. And all of that all that data goes right into the entity table, and so you've got that assurance of correct data transfer, and you've got traceability. So, with the execution records, it makes the efficiency go even much faster. So once you've created your protocol for an instrument, the next time that recurring calibration comes around, you don't have to create a new protocol and get it through the pre-approval stage. You've got an execution record that you just, make the copy for. It's like, especially for ones that you do weekly or monthly. You can create the protocol, do the work, and send it off for final approval. The execution record that makes it, so much easier. Excuse me. And so we've created a special report for the calibration scheduling. We leveraged that report to say every entity has an attribute for the calibration cycle when it's due and the last calibration date. So you can search that in the calibration report and you've got a schedule right there. Now, that was a year ago. Now we have the scheduling entity, which is going to be an update that I'll make, and it's going to make it even easier. So, as it is with Kneat, it evolves and grows. And, it gets easier and more efficient with new technologies and new additions. So it's really great. So we are currently in a quality systems initiative for our CSV. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking these ideas that I use from e-log books, from the calibration data master database, and I am applying it to our CSV, because now we have the requirements entities and the risk entity. And I'm making a sort of a CSV master database for our facility, to up our compliance and bring us into the next phase, because our CSV is still paper-based. We still have paper, and then those papers and pictures are on Excel files and things like that. So we want to do the same thing with our CSV program that we did with the master database. And so what I've always felt is, and how I've gotten everyone at the facility to go along with the new technology. Nobody likes change. Showing them, communicating with them, getting them to trust me, and realize, yes, you have to learn a new technology, but in the end, it's going to make it so much easier, and I'm going to make it easy for you to follow the rules. Everybody looks at big corporate quality like lawyers and everything. Nobody wants to have to deal with that, but you have to. I make it as easy as possible for them, and it's been really, really good. I've got a really good response. My engineers, my calibration department, and I've really built a really good calibration program there. A lot of cooperation. Oh, sorry. Anyway, that's my time. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry. Questions? No? Okay, sorry. Oh, good.
Very interesting. Could you tell me more about the schedule entity? Are you using a different tool to schedule your calibrations, or are you planning to have it all self-contained in the Kneat system to schedule your next calibration?
I will use the scheduling entity. I have not. I've not started using it yet. It just came out in the most recent version. So right now, for scheduling, we're still using the report that we built. However, that's next on the list. I'm planning on working on that entity with my CSV and my calibration all together. It's a project for when I get back home. But yeah, looking forward to it a lot. It's really going to help with the compliance too, because that is one of the things in the Quality Systems Initiative is a program or some way to ensure that the scheduling of these calibrations doesn't get missed, right? And that these notifications go out to the correct people, down the roles and responsibilities list. So it's really good. Yes, sir.
Fascinating talk, like real world stuff. I think you mentioned at the start that it's a kind of a corporate system now. So has your calibration package platform been replicated elsewhere? And if so, is that the other site's first view of Kneat, or are they already on a Kneat journey?
Yes, we have many different Kneat sites. Like I said, Cambridge was one of the newest. I think we got 3 or 4 more this year, early this year. However, the calibration master database project is currently under construction for global scalability. I'm working with my global Kneat team and my global quality department such that we can get a globally approved equipment entity mask and then the globally approved templates. That way, we don't have variability between the sites. We can get everyone on the same page. We, as the pilot, obviously will have a little bit of differences and similarities, and we'll have to tweak a bit to align once we are all fully aligned with global quality. But yes, we are scaling it global to all of our to any of our Kneat facilities who have their own internal calibrations department and that would like to utilize it. We're not forcing it on anybody, but I've spoken with another couple of sites and it's under construction. Good. All right. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.